Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. A busy week last week in USC athletics, another exciting week coming up this week for the Trojans. So we're going to break it all down right here, right now. But before we do, be sure to check out my new merch line, my CrashLit Forever merch line. I'm home in California this week, so that's why I'm not got my usual mic setup. But back in front of the old studio, y'all got used to for most of season 2 before I moved to Virginia. And I did get to check out my merch in the USC bookstore, and I went up to campus for baseball this weekend, which was a blast. And other than that, pretty much make sure to follow me on social media and subscribe to the podcast. So follow me at CrashLit on Instagram and X, so you can see all the latest updates. And if I can make it to a game, that's where you'll see where I post that game day graphic that confirms if I will be in attendance. Then you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at CrashLit to watch the video version of the podcast. And if you're just an audio person, we got you covered there too. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora. We should be on all the sites. If not, please let me know. Other than that, be sure to check out the recent episode I did, season 2, episode 43, where I interviewed USC football Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for radio, Harry Ruiz. He was great, talked about his experience in radio and both working for USC and the Raiders, and just the responsibility he feels he has for bringing the USC football in Spanish to more members of the Trojan family. So really insightful episode. Be sure to check that out. Be sure to also catch me every Tuesday night on the USC channel at the Voice of College Football. Then also starting with Believe in USC later today. So excited for all those opportunities. So be sure to catch me on all those too, and I'll be sure to notify y'all when those episodes are out if you can't watch them live. Let's now get into everything, and we'll start with football, where I was in attendance for the Football Fan Appreciation Day on Saturday. And overall, I had a great time at it. They had the marching band play, cheerleaders came out, and then the players came, and they were stanchioned off into 3 different zones, and then fans could choose where they wanted to go get autographs in which group. So I chose one. I was only able to get about a third of the guys who were there and I got notable signatures from Jamal Jarrett, Killian O'Connor, Sam Heward, Mark Bowman, Cameron Crawford. Those are a few that just come to mind right off the bat. But really, the thing I think that caught my eye most was athletic director Jen Cohen was there, general manager Chad Bowden was there, communications director Katie Ryan was there, among some other staffers. But notable personnel absent, at least not that I could see. I feel like I would have noticed if they were there. Lincoln Riley and his coaching staff were not there, not even in attendance, and thought maybe they'd come and make a speech or something to hype it up, but I was a little surprised by that. Although it was pretty cool afterwards when I went to swim with Mike for a minute to watch Chad Bowden just full send it off the dive board at Watang Zoo, which was also cool. Just see that and learn a little bit about that. So just overall, a great morning, and really just had a great time talking to everyone and just seeing just kind of how excited everyone is for this upcoming season. You can see that this season is really critical. I think you can kind of get that sense from just everyone who is present at the event. Just this is our year. We got to take it. It's really the impression I got. We now move on to men's basketball, where we've seen another defection into the portal, whereas Amarian Dickerson is into the portal. And this one doesn't surprise me for a couple reasons. For one, just reading what Ryan Karchi said in the Times of Troy newsletter, Dickerson was asking for, I think, more money than USC was able to give, especially one thing I found interesting that, yes, I should have probably known, but this probably doesn't surprise me, but Eric Musselman doesn't have a GM for his basketball team. He is essentially the GM, which even if you want to make the final calls, still seems like it doesn't hurt to have that position, especially with just you see how much Chad Bowden is doing in that regard on the recruiting front for football. And I mean, also, too, the other thing about Bowden is, I didn't mention a minute ago, is Bowden has no problem being the face of the program in a way that I don't think Riley necessarily is comfortable with. I think you just see how Riley is, and he's not necessarily like, I mean, just seeing how he is with media and all that, I mean, he's fine, but Chad Bone embraces it, loves the spotlight. So Chad Bone, I think, is a great face in addition to doing a great job with the as being the general manager. But Musselman is the GM, and I think just with kind of how things are, especially now that there are rev share caps and all that with payments to players, it sounds like Dickerson won more money. But I also have to think that the other thing that maybe factored in is just like I said before with the addition of Cam Woods. I get why USC needed to add another guy to the roster, but if you're going to add him, isn't it more for depth? Not he's going to take over and play because granted he was teammates with Dickerson, so that one's a little different. But in general, it's if you're gonna add a guy mid-year and then play him, it's wait, why didn't you add him at the start of the year? He was so good then. So that's I guess my thing that I kind of was struggling to understand with Woods being added. But yeah, we'll see what happens, especially with Rodney Rice coming back, and it sounds like Jacob Kofi and Elijah Arenas are also likely coming back. So hopefully USC can just build a good team around them and also keep Gabe Dines. And I hope to see Dines play more last year. I know I've said this a lot, but in 2024-25, when Musselman first got here, USC struggled because they did not have a true big man, relying heavily on Josh Cohen and Rashawn Agee to fill that role. This year, you get Gabe Dines, and he was kind of underutilized, in my opinion. So really, that's what I want to see USC do, is take advantage of Dines. You got a big man, play him. So I think I get that Dines struggled at times, but I think at the same time, you just got to, be patient with him, and hopefully he can just develop and use this summer wisely, especially now that he's been at USC for a year. Take advantage of that. So we'll see what happens, all that, but really excited for the future here with men's basketball. Move on to women's basketball, where we saw Sanaya Hall, Satea Fagan, and Sarah Okike take part in the Hoop Summit in Portland over the weekend. So really excited for them, just how well they did, and excited to see them come in. And especially there, I think they're just USC really is just continuing to set the narrative that it's their time for a national championship, especially after seeing UCLA just dominate South Carolina for it. And I think really they're putting pressure on themselves, especially with Juju Watkins coming back. You got Kennedy Smith, Jazzy Davidson. It's going to be a loaded roster. So really, USC has to make the most of this season, especially if I don't want to say it will be completely, but also wouldn't surprise me if it is Watkins last year. It probably will depend on just what kind of NIL deal she gets and compensation from USC versus what the WNBA gets. And I guess we'll get a sense of that, kind of how after all this plays out, now the WNBA has their new collective bargaining agreement. So it'll be very interesting to see what Watkins does after this upcoming 2026-27 season with regards to her career and professional future if she elects to stay in college for one more year. But meanwhile, USC has seen 3 more players enter the portal: Vivian Iwuchukwu, Gerda Raulu Satite, and Yakia Milton. With Malia Samuels and Diana Mendez also gone. None of these defections really surprise me given the talent that's coming in and just USC really looking to upgrade, especially now that you have Watkins coming back. So definitely tough to see it. And just these women obviously put a lot into the program and were great, but at the same time, I think Lindsay Gottlieb knows she's got to really bounce back and make the most of, if it is potentially Juju Watkins' final season in Cardinal and Gold. Now move on to baseball, who dropped from number 12 to number 14 after losing 3 straight to UCLA. And they followed that up with a midweek loss on last Tuesday at UCSB, lost 5-1. Had good performances from Adrian Lopez, went 2 for 4, and Kevin Takuchi went 1 for 3. UCSB struck first and then held on from there. But then USC got a sweep against Iowa, which I was back for. Got to see the new Dedeaux Field, and I'll just talk about that for a minute. It was just such a great experience there. Just so happy these guys are back on campus, just back at Dedeaux Field. It looks amazing. Field looks awesome. Stands are great, because when I was there for both the first pitch event and the alumni game a week before I moved to Virginia, they had us on the field and just along the left field line. So really just nowhere really so I didn't get to experience the stands. So to get to experience the stands like that was just really cool, and just see USC do so well, and just see so many, see all the, talk to all the families, catch up with a few players before the first game, just see how well they're all doing. Just been so fun watching this team from afar. So finally, I got to make it in person for a series at the new Dedeaux Field, which looks awesome. Yeah, I'm going to say this now. Yeah, it was really tough that USC did have to, and I also said this before, USC, that it was tough that USC had to play off campus for 2 years, but especially when they thought it wasn't happening for another 2 or 3 years, I believe, with the original Olympic plans. But I think looking at it now, I think it was smart that they just got out of the way now, and that was just done. And USC is now back at the new Dedeaux Field, which is only going to look even better once it's completely wrapped up. So really excited for that. So USC opened with a 9-2 win against Iowa, where Mason Edwards went 8 1/3 innings with a career high 16 strikeouts. So Mason Edwards is just continuing to dominate. Almost made it a complete game. A couple things didn't quite go right at the end. They had to bring in Darren Rizzo at the end, but pretty much just, or relief pitcher, but pretty much just how that game went was just so amazing to see Edwards just dominate, especially how much he's developed since his freshman year. I remember seeing him out there struggling, just see him gain that confidence back into last season, just really taking that into this season. It's been really exciting to see how Edwards has developed as a player under pitching coach Sean Allen. So really just happy to see how well he's doing, and just how well he's setting himself up for success both at USC and in and afterwards when he goes in professionally. So 9-2 win, then also big performances from Andrew Lamb and Isaac Cadena on Friday. Saturday, USC got a 6-3 win against the Hawkeyes with good performances from Gavin Lauritsen on the mound, and offensively from Andrew Lamb and Isaac Cadena. And then 8-2 win to complete the sweep, where Andrew Johnson went 6 innings. Augie Lopez had his second home run, going 1 for 3, a 3-run blast that put USC up after the Hawkeyes struck first. Max Risky hitting his first solo home run, and then Kevin Takeuchi going 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. And even though Iowa struck first in the first 2 games, USC was never fazed by it and just had great pitching and hitting. And especially the Saturday game, which was more of a dogfight, USC didn't give up at all and just was able to take care of business against the Hawkeyes. So really impressed with how this team just came out and just owned the series, especially after that tough weekend last week at UCLA, which UCLA is good. I will give them credit there, but still tough to see when that happens for sure. So yeah, like I said, great to catch 3 games at Dedeaux. So USC now sits at 30-7 on the season and 13-5 in Big Ten play. I'd probably say they stay about where they are, given they had the loss to UCSB. They sit in 3rd in the Big Ten. And up next, they'll play tomorrow night at Long Beach State. That'll be at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. The Dirtbags are 11-23 on the season, and so that's a game USC needs to win. And then they go to Nebraska from Friday through Sunday. The Cornhuskers are 27-9 overall, 12-3 in Big Ten play, sit in 2nd. So all 3 will be on Big Ten Plus, Friday at 4 p.m., Saturday at noon, Sunday at 10 a.m., all Pacific time. So USC needs to beat Long Beach State since they're not good this year, especially with it being another game back at Long Beach for Adrian Lopez, who did not receive a warm welcome last year. And then be ready for what could be a tough series in Lincoln this weekend. I know we don't think too much of Big Ten baseball, but Nebraska's doing pretty well, and they're trying to position themselves to make it back into the NCAA tournament for, I believe, the 3rd straight year. So this is a big series for USC against the Cornhuskers. Move on to men's basketball, who split their series up in Provo against the 10th-ranked Cougars. So on Friday night, lost 3-1, 25-23, 20-25, 30-28, 25-18. So Dylan Klein led with 16 kills, Sterling Foley and Cooper Keene with 2 aces, Parker Tompkinson leading with 8 blocks, Caleb Blanchette 38 assists, and then Blanchette and Klein leading with 9 digs each. So it was a hard-fought match that just ultimately went USC's way. But the following night, USC bounced back for a win over the Cougars in 5. So 3-2 win, 19-25, 29-27, 18-25, 25-21, 15-12. So Klein led with 16 kills. Noah Roberts, Blanchette, Andrew Chapin, and Cooper Keene led with 1 ace. Parker Tompkinson had 4 blocks. Blanchette 49 assists, and Blanchette also led the way with 8 digs. So another hard-fought match, but this one saw USC grit out the win despite struggling in with 2 sets that they did lose and were down big. So you definitely thought USC was in trouble, especially after how they lost those first and thirds. But a lot of credit to this team for not backing down from that fight, especially what's a really hostile and aggressive environment in Provo. So USC now sits at 17-4 on the season, 19-3 in MPSF play. I'd say they probably hold at 8-4, had their 8-match win streak snapped. They're now 3rd in the MPSF. And up next, they will take on a home-and-home against Pepperdine. The Waves are 20-5 on the season, 11-1 in MPSF. That'll be Thursday at USC. That'll be at 7 p.m. on Big Ten Plus for Senior Day, followed by a trip to Pepperdine on Saturday. That'll be at 6 p.m. on Big Ten Plus. The Waves are 20-5 on the season, 11-1. And USC can pretty much finish as high as tied first. They can sweep the Waves and UCLA loses. And would get the second seed given they have the tiebreak, but also could finish as low as 4th if they lose. So it just depends on what happens with BYU. So really USC probably going to finish 2nd or 3rd based on how this series goes in conference play and look to try to have things get pretty set up well for the MPSF tournament. So really excited for that. So beach volleyball finished 2nd at the Center of Effort Challenge up at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. So on Friday, they got 3-2 wins over both Stanford and TCU. Then you got a 4-1 win over LMU before losing 3-2 to UCLA in the final. So they now sit at 26-7 on the year. Maybe they move up a spot to number 3, given they beat Stanford. We'll see what the rankings say. I know I'm recording earlier, so none of the rankings have been published yet. So it's the final week of the regular season. On Thursday, USC will host 25-4 UCLA at noon for Senior Day, before following day heading to 22-10 LMU over in Westchester for an 11 a.m. duel. The last 2 duels before then it's into the MPSF tournament and the rest of the postseason. So lacrosse, meanwhile, lost 11-10 in double overtime on Saturday against Ohio State. Reese Robinson and Kaylee Fravert led with 2 goals each. Annie Shields had 3 saves and 7 goals allowed, played the first half. Ellie Thomas had 2 saves and 4 goals allowed, played second half plus overtime. Shields had the loss decision. And then the game saw both teams scoring in drives, with USC rallying for 3 unanswered goals to send it to OT, but then ultimately falling in the second overtime to end the game in sudden death. So USC now sits at 7-9 on the season and 0-7 in Big Ten play. 0-7 in Big Ten play, so they're essentially tied 8th of 9th in the conference. And USC up next will face Oregon for the final game. And Oregon is 6-9 on the season, 0-7. That'll be in Eugene at noon on Big Ten Plus. So it's the last game of the regular season. Both teams are playing to avoid dead last in the conference, and neither team will qualify for the Big Ten tournament based on what I took a look at with how the bracket. I believe 7 teams make it. USC and Oregon will be 8th and 9th regardless of the result. Winner will be 8th of this game. Loser will be 9th. So neither will make it. And I guess I would not be surprised if USC decides to make a change with the head coach of lacrosse. I think Lindsay Monday's done a great job building this program when it was established about 13 years ago now, but just USC has trailed off in these last 2 years in the Big Ten. So not saying that will, but all I'm saying is I would not be surprised if USC looks at potentially making a change at the head coach of lacrosse. So we'll see what happens with Lindsay Monday and her future. So we'll see what happens there. But just definitely, when you have 2 kind of lackluster seasons, and you move into a new conference, definitely hard to see, especially when you don't even make your conference tournament. So we'll see what happens there. Move on to women's water polo, who is #1 in the country, and for the MPSF tournament, got a 17-14 win against 4 seed Cal on Saturday with Emily Osmus, Alma Jacoby, Morgan Netherton, and Megan McInich leading with 3 goals each. And then Anna Reed had 7 saves and 14 goals allowed, played the whole game. Back and forth game, lots of scoring bursts, but USC held on to advance to the final. And then the final, USC lost 16-14 to 2 seed Stanford, with Osmus and Stryker leading with 5 goals each. And then Reed having 7 saves and 16 goals allowed, playing the whole game. So it was a back and forth game, but then Stanford held on to clinch the MPSF automatic bid. So USC now sits at 22-3 on the season and 6-0, and finished 6-0 in MPSF play. So they finished second in the conference tournament, but they still should get a bid to the conference tournament. The selection show is tonight at 5 p.m. You can watch it on NCAA.com, where USC will probably, I'd imagine, be the 2 seed. But still, really excited for this team and what they can do. They'll definitely get an at-large bid and probably have a very good chance to make it to the could still win it all. So really hope to see them pull it off. But best of luck to them as they head into tonight. Track and field, meanwhile, while the team had the weekend off, Phelan Lott placed second at the Rafer Johnson/Jackie Joyner Kersey Invitational over at UCLA, and placed second in the 400-meter hurdles. So that was one thing going on with track and field. And then up next, 3 different meets the team will be going to. The Pacific Coast Invitational on Thursday, the Brian hosted by Long Beach State, Brian Clay Invitational in Azusa from Thursday through Saturday, and the Mountain Sack Relays in Walnut from Thursday to Saturday. So 3 opportunities for the team to compete. So excited to see what they do with that. Rowing, meanwhile, has the Big Ten invite that'll be on Saturday and Sunday in Sacramento. So it's an opportunity for USC to bounce back after a tough outing at the Rocky Top Invitational a couple weeks back. Then men's tennis had a sweep on the weekend, winning 4-0 against Northwestern. So USC got the doubles points and got singles wins from Nathan Trouvé, Jack McCarthy, and Niels Hoffman to get the dub, and then followed that up with a 4-1 win against 14th ranked Illinois on senior day yesterday. So doubles point win for USC, and then singles wins from Bronco Duric, Max Ekstead, and Jack McCarthy. So USC is now 16-6 on the season and 8-3 in Big Ten play. So up next, USC will finish the regular season on the road, going to Washington on Friday at 4 p.m. and Oregon on Sunday at 11 a.m. The Huskies are 8-14 on the season, 2-8 in Big Ten play, and the Ducks are 13-8. Overall, 4-6 in Big Ten play. So it's the last 2 regular season duels of the season. Women's tennis also got a sweep, but on the road against the same 2 teams, going 4-1, winning 4-1 at Northwestern on Friday, with USC getting the doubles points and singles wins from Eugenia Zozaya, Emma Charney, and Krisha Mahendran. And then a 4-1 win at Illinois yesterday, with Illinois getting the doubles point, but USC getting singles wins from Jenna Hossam, Imi Haddad, Zozaya, and Krisha Mahendran. So USC is now 17-5 on the season and 10-1 in Big Ten play. So an exciting season for them. And then up next, USC will be at home to close the season, facing Purdue on Friday at 2 p.m. and Indiana on Saturday at noon. Both can be watched on USC Play Site. The Boilermakers are 7-11 overall, 3-7 in Big Ten play. Hoosiers are 14-8, on the season, 4-6 in Big Ten play. So USC will be at home to finish the season, regular season. Men's golf, meanwhile, is getting ready to take part in the Western Collegiate at Pasatiempo event at Pasatiempo Golf Club in Santa Cruz. I'll be hosted by San Jose State. Starts today and runs through Wednesday. The lineup they're running out will be Luke Stock, Jack Buchanan, Jaden Dumdamaya, Rogov Gulati, Antonio Safa, and Nicholas Dominguez. So it's the final tournament of the regular season before postseason play. Best luck to them today. So women's golf had another big week in their 5th straight tournament win, finishing first of 16 at the Chevron Silverado Showdown hosted by Colorado and Napa. That was last Monday through Wednesday. And Jasmine Koo picking up another event win. 10 under par, 206 total score. Tied second were Bailey Shoemaker and Catherine Park. 9 under par, 207 total score. Tied ninth were Kylie Chong and Sarah Hammett, who was playing as an independent. 3 under par, 213 total score. And tied and in 14th was Elise Lee. So 1 under par, 215 total score. So really impressive weekend from Trojans there in Napa. And they hope to keep that going as they head into the Big Ten Championships. They'll be at Oakmont Country Club in Glendale. That'll run from April 24th through 26th. So get a week off, then back into action for them. Women's volleyball also was in action this weekend, taking part in the USD tournament over the weekend, where they took on Arizona, Long Beach State, San Diego, and CSUN. So those scores were really reported from out there, but still just wanted to highlight the action and just that USC was out there playing. So really excited to see what this team brings, especially with all the talent they've got coming back and that they're bringing in. Soccer also had spring action this week, played at Cal State Fullerton on Saturday. And then the only details I saw that were out, I don't know if I saw a final score, but it looked like Lily Biddulph had herself a game, scoring 3 goals. And it looked like USC won just based on how much Biddulph was dominating, but we'll see. But anyways, USC has one final day left in their spring schedule. That'll be a week from today, and they will play both Cal State LA and Cal Poly. So excited for those ones and best of luck to them. But also the soccer team does have a TikTok challenge to try to hit 10,000 followers. So follow them at USC Women's Soccer. And if they get it, head coach Jane Alaconis will get pied in the face. So if you want to see that, be sure to follow that soccer account. So we finally reached near the end of the episode, and it is time for me to take some questions. We have one question this week, and it is from the real Xander Woodson at the real _ Xander Woodson. So Xander Woodson, who asked me my favorite baseball memory. That's a tough one, Xander. I will say it's one of the 2 UCLA series. Probably my sophomore year, but I'm going to name them both just because they're both so great. I think, so I'll start with the one last year when USC beat UCLA at Great Park in front of a packed crowd to take the series 2-1 against the Bruins. That one was just great, especially because I played the national anthem before and just had a great experience. My family was there. That one was just amazing environment too, especially to see just everyone come out for baseball as USC was picking up momentum late in the season. So that one was great, but favorite one I think has to be the finale against UCLA my sophomore year, so 3 years ago. USC managed to tie it up at 5-5, bottom of the 9th inning. Cole Gabrielson, who's I got to know after he first got here from JUCO, and then really got to know his family super well. Great kid. Wishing him nothing but success with the Yankees and all his endeavors. Cole Gabrielson gets up with the bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, hits a walk-off single, and just walks off and I think that was the time when I think you could really believe in what Andy Stankiewicz was building, even though the year after kind of was a lot of struggles. I think really you could see that Andy Stankiewicz is the right guy to lead USC baseball. And so I think that one, probably Xander, is my favorite one, USC baseball moment. And that goes for anyone in the Trojan family. If you guys have questions for me, please let them know. I'll I'll be sure to release question box on both my Instagram and X pages, so look out for those, and or just DM them to me. So you can follow me at CrashLit and send those to me. So pretty much, yeah, that's the one question we got, but I'm happy to take more questions every week. Last week I went 3-0, improved my baseball record on the season to 3-0. So now 49, 18-1 for this school year, 360, 137-1 all time now. So because I'm going back to Virginia in a few hours. I will not be at anything this week unless something works out. If anything changes and I can make it something, I will be sure to let y'all know as soon as I can figure it out. And I will confirm it publicly by posting the game day graphic the morning of the game of what I will be in attendance at. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to check out my merch line and buy yours. The link will be in the description below the episode. Be sure to follow me on social media. Check out all my other shows, Believe in USC and The Voice of College Football. Check out the interview with Harry Ruiz. And be sure to, if you have questions that you want answered on the show, be sure to reach out to me and I will make sure they get answered. That's going to do it for us here. Your support means everything to me. Thank you again, Trojan family. You're the best. And of course, as always, fight on.